And I hope you guys are having a great day. I just finished a presentation, so I'm kind of drained right now. I promise I did look more professional than this. Um, but I just wanted to come on here and yeah, share a little bit of information on what we talked about today in the presentation. It was a 3-hour presentation. Um, so one of the things we talked about are children. Children are definitely impacted by grief. And so, one of the techniques that we talked about was family sculpting. And so, for those of you who are therapists, you already know what family sculpting is and how beneficial it is. But for those who may not be familiar with family sculpting, the way it works is one family member is the sculptor. And what they do is they put other family members in positions based on their perspective, based on how they see the family dynamic. And so, for an example, let's say we have a mom, a dad, two siblings, and the mom's parent passed away. So the therapist may ask the child, okay, I would like you to put your family in the position from your perspective on how life looked before the family member passed away. And so the child might put the dad sitting down, the mom standing, holding his hand, and the sibling on the other side of dad. And then we'll kind of talk with the child about what that looks like. We'll talk with the family members. What does that look like for you guys? How does this feel? What are your thoughts? And then the therapist might ask the child, okay, now that the grandparent has passed away, I want you to put the family in a position, the positions based on how you see life right now. And so the child might have the dad standing and the mom sitting, and the mom kind of maybe huddled down, and the dad about to punch the mom and the other sibling in a completely different space in the room. And so we'll ask the child, okay, tell us about this perspective. We'll talk about their thoughts and their feelings. And so as we dive deeper into the drastic change between the first picture that the child created versus the second sculpting the child ended up doing, we find out that when the grandparent passed away, the mom experienced depression. So much so, it was hard for her to engage in daily activities. So she stopped being supportive, being present with the family because of the depression, resulting in the dad getting easily agitated because now he had a lot on his shoulders. And so that's why the child put this picture together, put the sculpting vision together. And I want to encourage you guys to be aware of how we as adults, our emotions and our thoughts can impact our little ones. Of course, we do the best that we can with what we're given, especially during COVID-19. There's a lot of stress going on. There's a lot of anxiety, depression, feelings of overwhelmed and stress happening right now. And so sometimes we might forget that we have little ones watching us and their perspective might be different than reality. So in this case, kind of thinking about the child doing sculpting, their perspective is dad is mad at mom, dad wants to harm mom, but in reality, there's no violence happening in the house. There's no, there might be yelling, but there's no physical harm. But from the child's perspective, they're on the verge of a divorce. So it's important for us to just be mindful of how we're interacting and definitely doing coping skills as adults. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to working with children and having a child is being aware of how they're doing. So with COVID-19, there's been a lot of changes, changes in school systems and how people are attending school, what's going on at school. The schoolwork is changing. The interactions with friends are changing. Interaction with family members are changing because they're in the same household 24/7 now. And so sometimes children could be grieving because they miss the interaction with family, with not with family. I'm sorry, miss the interaction with could be extended family, but they're missing the interaction with their classmates. They miss the interaction with their teachers. They miss being able to go outside and just go to different places like the skate park or to movie theaters or to racetracks. So sometimes they're grieving inside. And it can come out in the form of different ways. Most people think of depression, they're sad, they're isolated, but sometimes it can come out in the form of anger, of frustration, of aggression, for whether it's verbal aggression or physical aggression. So it can come out in different forms. So just kind of being aware of what's going on with that little one. Another thing, well, the last thing I want to share with you guys is a really fun activity that I like to do with my clients who have experienced a loss. And so the name of this technique, let me get to it. Um, I talked about a lot of stuff today, goodness. Um, let me see if I can get to it. Life Imprints. There we go. I skipped over it a couple times. All right, Life Imprints. And so this is a fun one. You can do this on your own. You can do it with a therapist. If you're an adult and have a history of maybe traumatic experiences with a loved one who's passed away, or if you have a strange relationship with someone who's passed away, I would encourage you to do it with a therapist. But if you had a pretty much a healthy relationship with somebody and they passed away, definitely do this on your own. But it's called Life Imprints. Unless you want more help, then see a therapist, of course. But this one is called Life Imprints. And so the way it works is that you can Google this, Life Imprints, and then what will pop up is somebody's a section. Well, before I do that, let me tell you the history behind it. So we as human beings, we are a reflection of bits and pieces of experiences that we've had with other people, people we've interacted with, whether it's been a year, a month, a day, an hour. We are a reflection of those interactions. And so these interactions can impact our character, our value system. It can impact us consciously, subconsciously. It can impact our identity, how we see ourselves. And so sometimes these impacts and these imprints are positive and negative. And so what this activity, Life Imprint, does, it gives you the opportunity to revisit these imprints of people who you've lost, whether it's a pet or a person. Um, and so, yes, it's called Life Imprints. And so basically, what you do is you think of a person that you've lost and you answer the questions. And so some of the questions can range from how has this person impacted your identity? Or how has this person impacted the way you work or the way you interact with others, the way you see yourself? And then at the end, it does ask, how has this person impacted you as far as how. The things that you want to keep or the things that you want to let go of and maybe not have anymore. And so part of the reason why I had mentioned if your loved one has been someone who you've experienced traumatic experiences with or someone who was detrimental in your life, the reason why I encouraged having a therapist to help you with this one is because sometimes when we're going through these things, thoughts can pop up, images can pop up, flashbacks can happen. So it's good to have extra supports who can help navigate those flashbacks. And then others, they don't have flashbacks at all. They have pretty much healthy and positive interactions with people. So when they do the life imprint, it helps them to feel closer to the person, more connected to the person. And also, it's very goal oriented. So, again, going back to one of the last questions, it talks about or it asks for you to identify the things that you want to continue doing that the person taught you or the things that you want to let go of. So maybe there's an unhealthy um, quality that you've developed from a parent or from a sibling or from an uncle who passed away, and you want to let go of that. So you write it down. This is what I want to let go of. I want to let go of negative talk, negative self talk, or I want to continue doing positive affirmations or whatever that might look like. And so going back to children, it's fun doing this with children, especially children who may have lost a parent at a young age. So they didn't get opportunity to know their parent. So what I do is I give them this life imprints and I have them interview and survey family members. And so what they do, they go to their other living parent or they go to an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent and say, hey, can you tell me what is it about me that reminds you of my parent who's passed away? Such as maybe some gestures that I do, or maybe the way I talk, maybe the way I engage in certain activities. And so it allows the child an opportunity to get to know their parent who's passed away and also get to recognize that, hey, even though my parents passed away, there are still some things about me that live on in me that I got from my parents. So it just builds that connection, that camaraderie, and it also opens the dialogue for parents who may not, or family who may not talk about someone who's passed away. It gives the child an opportunity to talk about it. And so I just wanted to come on here, share a little bit of information with you about different things that we talked about today in the training. And again, if you're a mental health therapist or someone who gives support, I definitely want you guys to go check it out. On the different platforms that I do the training on. You can go to missdaleworth.com to find out more information, or you can just email me, tiffany.daleworth.com. And I can definitely give upcoming trainings. I do have another upcoming training in July and August. And so, yeah, I just wanted to come on here and share that information with you guys. I hope you all have an amazing day and live in your greatness.